Consider this that you're looking at right now like a scale, okay? The goal is to be balanced, to find your center, right, in between both the divine masculine side of things and the divine feminine side of things, okay? I am using True Love Reading Cards deck to help me explain this because, and this is by Belinda Grace, they did a pretty good job in explaining the differences in these energies, and I'm also going to share some of my own research on these two very different energies. So the goal is to be centered, right? But if you lean too far on one side or the other, you end up in what is considered distorted energy, okay? Whether that's distorted feminine energy or distorted masculine energy. The further in that you go, the more balance you find and the more understanding you have of how to balance out these two energies, okay? We have on this side the divine feminine energies, okay? It's really, this card, there's a card under here, the divine feminine, the garden, and then on the outside you have the distorted feminine. On this side of things, right, you have the divine masculine, you have the gardener, and you have the distorted masculine all the way on the outside. Okay, there's a reason why these are lined up the way that they are. Okay, there's also a reason why this card is in the center. Yin and Yang, or Yin and Yang, depending on how you're pronouncing it, right? The divine masculine energy represents the white that you see here. The divine feminine is represented by the black. If she is the representative of the universe, he is the representative of the earth. Like we were just talking about with Newt and Geb. Which means she also represents spirituality, and he represents physicality, meaning the physical aspects of life. She represents spiritual gifts and the use of them. He represents earthly possessions and the use of them. This is where people would say things are more materialistic. She represents the unseen. He represents the things that are seen. She is the garden itself. She is the soil. On his side, he is the sower / planter. This is, again, where we come back to who's actually the nurturer. And when we break these down and I give you the information from the book and the way the book portrays it, you'll better understand what's being said here. She represents growth by stillness, right? Because if she's a garden, she's in stillness, right? He represents growth by activity. So that means he's doing something, which I'm going to get to in a second. She's all about process and divine timing. He's all about results and immediate gratification. She's ever expanding. And on his side, he's more about focus. Diffusing, right? Or dispersing of energy. He is about taking that energy and putting it into a form, right? Forming it into something. She represents pure potential, He represents returns, like return on investments. She is the power behind manifestation and creation, the very life force. He is representative of what happens after manifestation, the actual form and results in 3D or on the earth. She is representative of cycles. That's why healing happens in cycles. Things can be brought back up over and over again, and each time it's brought up, you learn something new. He represents the linear. So like on the earth, we have the concept of past, present, and future, right? We want to be able to heal and just leave it all in the past and it never come up again. But that's not the truth of how spirituality actually works. Spirituality happens and growth happens and healing happens in cycles. The divine feminine represents beauty and appreciation, right? Appreciation and beauty. The divine masculine then would represent utility, the use of something. She is all about being. He is all about doing. She is the receiver. He is the giver. Again, this goes back to who is the nurturer. She is all about feelings, right? That's why feelings are involved when it comes to needing to heal traumas that are unseen. He is all about thinking. She is the planner. He executes. She is all about allowing, and he is about force. Okay, again, fellas, detach yourself from your physical form and your inner energies. Two different things, okay? She is the softer representation of energy. He is the more aggressive representation of energy. She represents the concept of listening. He represents the concept of speaking. But here's where it really gets tripped out if you are out of balance, okay? She is all about embracing. He is all about conquest. Okay, that's two different goals. She's about including. He's about conquering. She is all about connection. He is all about individuality. This is again why they show up in the way that they do. Why the woman in a situation, right, could be more about wanting to connect, while this one is more interested in maintaining their quote-unquote freedom, because they somehow may think their individuality is somehow at stake. This one represents cooperation and collaboration, and this one represents competition. Now, let me explain, because this goes back again to the concept of the divine feminine being the allowing and the divine masculine being the one who's interested in force, okay? I want you to look at these two cards on the end. This is the distorted feminine and this is the distorted masculine. I'm hoping that you can grasp what's happening here. When a person is too far into feminine energy, they become the narcissist. Why? Because narcissists are over receivers. When a person gets too far in their masculine energy, they become the empath. Why? Because they are over givers. So essentially, the feminine and the masculine switch places. Now, that doesn't mean that a woman can't be a narcissist, right, and a man an empath. Because again, I told you your physical form and what's happening with you energetically is two different things. But it just goes to help you understand when you tip too far on one side or the other, how things can get distorted. The feminine is the receiver. This is why in a lot of the twin flame connections or divine connections that are out there, this was the problem. The man played the role of the narcissist too far in his feminine energy, and the woman in that situation was too far in her masculine energy, being the empath, always giving to the situation. She probably could not get him to do anything. She had to do everything because she was too far in her masculine energy internally. This is why the Matrix has taken these concepts and distorted them, because if we really understood these two, we could literally change our lives. And we'd be much more in harmony with one another.